And welcome to
Right.
welcome to Out of the Bag. This is Sean Maguire, live interview, not a live. It's a pre-recorded interview. It is actually, it is now the 11th of the 5th. So this will be going out tonight on Out of the Bag at 9 p.m. It's a 2-hour interview, we hope. And I have back with me from last week's show, the wonderful Andrew Devine, who's organised the Zoom meeting, etc. And of course, John Wanoa. Guys, welcome back to the show.
Greetings.
Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic to have you here. Look, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here. It's 3 o'clock, I think, in the morning for Andrew. Doing interviews over continents, it's where Out of the Bag, I think, shines a little bit. So thank you guys for being here and us joining together for this. John, first of all, I suppose I just want to hit very quickly. You had a meeting this morning, a Zoom meeting, so you did, a Confederation of United Tribes of New Zealand flag jurisdiction meeting. How did that go? Was it positive? Were there many participants?
I don't know how many there were altogether, but there was certainly a lot that wanted to come in and probably having trouble with the how to get in.
Sure.
With the thread. And some of them are messaging me that they want to come on the next Zoom meeting because they really wanted to listen.
Right.
And not say, they didn't want to say anything, but they wanted to be in on it.
Yeah,
We have to be very careful. Other people don't come in and sit there and use it for their meetings as if they're part of it, of this meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. I actually thought, I was invited to the meeting. I couldn't attend, unfortunately. But if I had have done, I probably wouldn't have had a lot to say. And really, that brings me back to the very first point I'd like to maybe touch for this episode of Out of the Bag. Really, we need a history lesson, John. Where is the root of everything? I mean, where does it start? Where does the Wanoa family, the tribes, where does the connection with Britain? You tell me, where does it start? Where do we have our sovereignty and power that we can still get? Where do we get it back from?
Right, so this is how it works. We're all in the same boat. We're all subjected to the Westminster and the crown and the throne of where the wealth has been collected from your native lands. So we're modelling out our native here in Ireland, especially, because that's on the record as starting the process of you on the land. They come and conquer it. I mean, the king comes and conquers with his magistrate court man on his boat. He gets off and says, this land belongs to the king of the documents, not the king of the land, the king of the documents. And so they sign up with 1 or 2 chiefs in your native country. And I'm referring to all the native countries, starting in around India, the East India Company, and they traveled to America and did the same thing on the native lands there. Then they came to New Zealand. And
what did they do to give them control? I mean, I know that the British Empire built itself on India rubber plantations and then into the petroleum through oil, etc. So what did they do in New Zealand? In Ireland, we were subjected to it, I think, because of our spirituality and the fact that we were never going to take their shit, to be honest. So we didn't have resources to give them, I suppose. What was it?
So the thing is, the native people of land had no laws. The King of England and the Parliament says you have no written laws. You only got verbal things, or written on pieces of leaves of trees, and it disposes. And you have no real law but by your mouth, word to word, and nothing in writing to put a title or certificate on your land so that it can be shared out amongst you people. And you have a value put on your land with a certificate, which is a piece of paper from the ship that just dropped in on your land.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
It gets. You own the land, but you don't own the document, the piece of paper.
Okay. So tell me, where was this point? I mean, was it a different point in every land? Because obviously things take time to build up an empire. Or was there a specific point when they were all over they planted their flags all over and they went, right, now it's our law, now it's our legislation, now you're under our slavery? When did that happen? What was it?
Well, it started from 1868 and the King James, that side, before it went to King William III in 1688, when it started on the Catholic side. Then it went on to King William III on the Protestant side, and the Dutch, and then they constructed the laws to start off the commercial process of going into other countries and invading them, and put their paper titles on the land, and then they want the resources, so they use the Admiralty law of the sea, or the Admiralty of the fleet, admiral on the ship, the captain, as a surrogate king, and the king is sitting in London, England, on the throne. But the captain took his bits of paper to the natives and said, we have to put the law on your land so that we can get your resources and trade with you.
So why would a nation's people or tribes or kings of those tribes or chieftains of the tribes, why would they consent to that?
Because they were forced by the Admiralty law of the sea from England to other countries, and they put the martial law, which is this flag.
So under oppression, right?
This flag to protect the business between New Zealand and Britain and Westminster, but the Rothschilds and that side of the bloodlines used it as an instrument of war instead of peace. And then they warred on every country, and they're the real invaders from King George V onwards. That's where the real desecration of people's memorials and on their land started, taking the memorials off and locking all the memorials from all the native countries.
Yeah, so basically, when you say memorials, I want to clarify that for my listeners. They took spiritual artifacts, in fact, from many nations, from many countries, and they took those, I suppose, very important to the nation's pieces away and locked them in museums and showed them off in England as treasures and as their bounty.
Yeah, so they used the martial law of the sea, of the king, and the power of the document to seize all the lands, and any government that was going on in the country, this flag will go in and dissolve that government and put it under the crown's law, because the crown's got all the money stacked up. So
correct me if I'm wrong, what you are coming out with is the history lesson to tell us what happened, and the way we can turn that around and take the power back. Is that what you're doing?
What it's all about. That's what we're doing here, in reverse. Reverse.
Got you. So it is, I understand, and that's why it sounds very vague to some people about what's going on, and it sounds very heavy with history. It isn't. There's certain common denominators all the way around that we can all use together. In fact, in New Zealand, you could probably go in to do what you're doing in your courts there. Could we do the same in Ireland? Could we do the same in Canada? Could we do the same in Australia?
After this court hearing we have, the sum of all these court hearings we have, like this one, I'm treating this as an affidavit, a live person, me talking and your lips are moving, and we're talking one-to-one as that law, not the document. We're not writing a document.
Well, this is why I'm a bit disgusted that they came in with all this legislation and it had to be written law. What is wrong with verbal contracts? Verbal contract goes on a daily basis globally, always has and always will.
That's a verbal contract in law, and you stick by your trust in each other to trade and barter without money, and you either go back to no money and barter. I say I'll give you a bit of this, and you give me a bread, and so the king come along with his documents and says, I'll take all the resources out of your land if you sign here, and then I'll put a piece of land, of your own land, with a certificate on it.
Yeah. So the very first king that did that, that implemented that, who was that again?
There's King William III of Orange.
Oh, right, the Dutchman.
The Dutchman, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. We know a lot about him in Ireland, yes.
Yeah, that's the start. That's in our time. In our time, we don't go back any further than that, because they didn't perfect a title like King William III did and reformed the government acts of Westminster Parliament and made them to suit the common law people. Not the elites or any other bloodlines that are going to mess it up. All that hard work even of King William IV, he was 50 years. He started in the Navy at 8 years old. All his hard work, carrying on that legacy of the Admiral of the Fleet, which means that's the highest 5-star of all the fleet boats that left Britain to go and circumvent the world and put their flag in the ground and say it belonged to the king, not the queen.
That is so funny, because my very next question is, who and what are the Admiralty Fleet?
Admiralty of the Fleet is the highest ranking Navy officer, right? He is the authority to give to the Crown and who's in the monarch of the permission to use the instrument of going from one country to the other by sea to stamp their title and certificates on the native land.
Okay, and who holds that position right now?
Boyle, Lord Baron Boyce.
Oh, Michael Boyce, is it?
So he's a retired highest 5-star Navy officer, and he's gone back in to take over from Prince Charles, who was there as a pseudonym or make believe admiral.
Yes.
But he can't prove that he's done all the work in the Admiral to put things together and know how it works. You have to be experienced. So they pulled him out of retirement, pulled Boyce out of retirement and put him in a Lord Baron. Baron, if you look up the word Baron and everything that barons do. And so there was one Baron, and Andy knows that just died. And he was a Baron. And that's
Edwin Miller, yeah.
No, not him, another one.
Another one.
David Ward, Baron David Ward.
Oh, Baron David Ward. Thank you, Andrew.
That's him. If you look up him, he's in this higher position of next to the Navy, and this is what this Lord Baron Boyce position right now, and that's the main man of the Navy who we get our authority to pass free passage to Westminster Parliament.
So how accessible is Michael Boyce, Baron Michael Boyce? He's a crossbench member of the House of Lords, or he used to be, or he still is.
No, he's only acting as his position of First Lord of the Sea or the Admiral of the Fleet for the documents. They had to get somebody higher for their documents to make them legitimate to carry on their legacy of the Crown. They can't do without it. But they've had Prince Philip as a commander-in-chief, not a chief in command, a commander-in-chief to copy for their own documents for the Royal Navy. You got the British Navy now and the Royal British Navy. So the Queen got rid of the Royal Navy and put it into the Navy, and then called it the British Armed Forces, and buried the Navy in the British Armed Forces.
So then they got corporations now, aren't they?
They got an air marshal in charge of the British Armed Forces, with the Navy well and truly buried inside it. And that's why I wrote to all those people. You know, my Facebook, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see the Admiral there. You'll see those pictures of those fellows I've been writing to. That's why I stuck it there all this time, since 2000 or something.
Well, listen, you sent me an absolute rake of posts to my page. So if anyone wanted to check Sean P. Maguire's page as well, go down, you'll see loads and loads of John Winoa posts, and they're well worth reading and opening up the links and looking at the pictures and all the rest of it. Thank you, John, for that.
That's where you start. I can pick them from 83 Facebook pages and put them for the time being that on this video hearing, so that we can make an affidavit out of each video as proof for our evidence. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I know that there's something very important that you want to specifically talk about, and it does take time to tell people the ins and outs of everything that's going on, you know, every idiosyncrasy. I know we're going to be talking about the Yellow Vest group. We're going to be talking about all that, but I do want to bring it back to something that shocked me when I saw your post. I had Gordon Bowden on my show quite a few times. I thought I was helping to expose Finchley Road, boiler rooms and all that type of stuff. And I had John Patterson and Andrew, I think back then as well, coming on the show and talking about things. I have a title here of one of your clips. It says, Queen Elizabeth II and Gordon Bowden signed Lisbon Treaty Brexit to sell UK to EU. What the heck? What's that about?
Gordon Brown, not Gordon Bowden, Gordon Brown.
Ah, so I read that as Gordon Bowden. There you go. But there you go. That explains that fully. My apologies to everyone for that question. I actually thought it was Gordon Bowden was involved with the Queen somehow and had made some deal before they came on and told shite and lies to us all. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah. So Gordon Brown and the Queen was instrumental in selling out Westminster and Britain and getting rid of Britain. And that's what the Yellow Vest was all about. Protest was all about. So I joined the Yellow Vest people and I thought, right, I'll fix this up. I'll put all the debtors' names and photos on a yellow vest, then bandied it all around so everybody can see. But people don't understand it until now, until we go like this and explain what the yellow vest meant. It was to come up against Gordon Brown and the Queen signing documents behind closed doors to push the Brexit through so that it can go into the EU Parliament. And it's still in referendums now. It's not cleared yet because there's something standing in the way. And I think it's us standing in the way of selling out Britain. So there's no more Britain than Westminster and kings and queens. So they say there's no more queens from now on or kings from now on. So that's a legal instrument. What you're looking at there on the screen there is a legal instrument admissible in a court, in any court, especially the Navy court, a magistrate court. And so their names and their photos, especially their photos, link them to the fraud. I link them to the Brexit fraud and all the hoo-ha they've caused all the people harm and all of that sort of loss, harm, and all that sort of, to try and fight against leaving Britain to go into the EU. I didn't want them to leave, and I didn't want our flag to die, and I didn't want Britain and all that wealth gone, and we just start from scratch. We want to recover the whole lot with that flag, with that debt instrument there, to claw it all back and put the red warrant on top of their heads.
So why would a corporate monster of an entity, why would they even listen to you? They just brush you aside and ignore you and make sure nobody knows about what you're doing. Really, that's what they're doing to all of us that are telling the truth about this big corporate monster we're trying to battle and this fascist regime that's coming in from the EU and NATO. I mean, have you had some success? I mean, have you been into a court? Have you lodged papers? Have they accepted these papers? I
won't entertain going into a court of lower rank. I won't go to the courts because they are inferior to a King's Bench court. That's only a Queen's Bench court. So they have vice admiral or lower than a admiral of the fleet, which is that flag. So our flag has been silenced so that we can't use the power in New Zealand to go back to Britain. So I've gone on the ship back to Britain where it came from and just try and make a deal with them in private. It's all private. All the Admiralty is private, none of your business. So you can't inquire into any corporation that's in private, not limited. Which means it's also off record, does it? No, not off record, but you can't go into it onto the records, but because they need them for accounting. When you see, the Queen Victoria Trust and the Crown has never been audited. So we're forcing an audit on the accounts which belong to the beneficiaries. And it's now everybody in the world where the Admiralty is gone is a beneficiary. Not only now, because Queen Victoria made a trust between your people and our people, your immigrants that came to New Zealand and nobody else. Only those chiefs that made it the deal was not for everybody else in New Zealand. The South Island Munster here was a separate, most of the Europeans went down there. So they had their own laws with the French. and they were fighting against the North Island where all the Maoris are, and the Maoris were confused with the people in the South Island being better off than the people in the North Island fighting over the pieces of land and silver. So there they made everybody fight against each other. The crown the crown over here, the little crown, made a tribe so that it's called Maori, fight against their own Maori people. and that's how they do it, to make the native people fight against each other and handpick their own crown representatives to represent all the natives and screw all the land off you, and they don't care. When you become a corporate, you get greedy, and you don't care about the poor people.
It does seem to be. It does seem to be what's going on. Absolutely. So, what is the? You say the courts. You wouldn't. You know, they're not powerful enough. So, where is a King's Bench court? Do they exist? Do you have to create one, or is the Supreme Court good enough?
No. You had to wait. You had to wait to get it past Parliament. That's what we were trying to do, is get access and make a native court hearing set up there in a building, because we would have done it outside if it was nice and warm, but it was bloody cold that morning. Where Lee said, "Come on, I know the court. I'll take you into the court, and we'll go into the dining room and held our court hearing there, and everybody is staring at us, making our court hearing in front of them all."
So you have to create the King's Bench court yourselves.
Yeah, you have to set it up in preparation for a king going on the throne. That's why I'm putting that king in, the right king in, and making not a petition. We're just making orders to the Navy to appoint him to take the empty crown.
Okay, well, it sounds very odd to me. I mean, you know, going from one royalty to another. Who is this man? Who is this king?
King Ernest Augustus is the fifth. He's 68 and living in London, but he's silent at the moment because he hasn't been approached by anybody to take the throne now that it's empty. So Jeff Foley in Australia could do the same thing, because he's all over my Facebook sites as well. I was supporting him for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's legitimate. He's in the Navy, in his family, 300 AD, that built up the Admiralty. So he's got all the history. He's got his Lower Hayden Castle in England, in Wales, where he wants to go back, but he needs the money to rebuild it and take his title back to that lawyer as a constable. He's a legitimate constable.
And what good would it do putting these people in those positions?
Well, you just keep the continuity of sovereignty to yourself, because all the total sum of all the sovereignty people in the world is put into one sovereignty on the throne and the crown, and only one person controlling all your sovereignties in the countries that they invaded and put their titles on. So the Queen is gone now, and we need to put somebody back on there, and not someone like Prince Charles, who has got a corrupt family to carry on a corrupt legacy for us on our trust. We don't want him fraud.
When you say the Queen is not on the throne anymore, that you tell that to an Englishman?
Either dead or she's run away back to Scotland, so that she won't get arrested in English soil from all the court hearings that are gone, and the cases in the High Court with Kevin and Nat and all the rest of them. They put that on top of her, and from the churches and the kids and all that being killed and raped and everything in the churches, the Catholic churches.
I think Kevin Annette is a charlatan and a thief and a liar and a cheat. So that's what I think. He's been on my show many, many times until he genuinely would not answer my questions at all. Do you know?
The worst thing is not answering questions, because you're hiding something.
Yeah.
And that's bad. And then there's Greg Hallett. We had those photos.
Yeah, what's
Andy,
that?
we had kings lined up. I was one, and the other lady was claiming to go to the throne. Me, her, Greg Hallett, and no, Jeff Foley wasn't in it, but we were sitting there.
So in a nutshell, can't anyone go for it?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Why can't they, John?
Because it's either put there by the Crown, or the people have to vote who goes on. So we're trying to get as many people to see sense in putting this king, which is legitimate, onto throne, because his ancestor, King Ernest Augustus I, the brother of King George IV, was supposed to be on the throne next as their oldest brother, but they legislated, Queen Elizabeth or whatever, legislated them out of the he was the king of Britain, UK, Hanover. That was his title. If you look it up, if you look up King Ernest Augustus I, you'll see quite clearly that he was legislated out, and everything in Parliament legislated as statute acts to get rid of things, so they have a clear path to the throne and the money and the wealth.
Yeah,
that's I did all the research on that to come up with what I got now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making bold statements like this to back it up if I didn't have the information.
it is really bold. I mean, people like me who have been
just to add something, Sean.
Go for
Sean,
it.
just to add something, like
Yeah.
what the point here is with the King's line, yeah, that brings in the Bill of Rights, right?
Yep.
Which makes the King equal. So it doesn't matter. There's no one. It makes everybody equal.
You hear what I'm saying? You know what I was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. Because why would you?
Because we're all fucking sovereign, man.
Exactly.
So he was there for the people. The Queen is not there for the people. She's there for her family.
Yeah,
and
Britannia rules the waves. Yeah.
And remember the other thing about this is the king is a servant. The king is a servant. Yeah.
And yes,
we are hired because the king has got an oath. The king would have an oath which is the coronation oath, which would be unlike the Queen, where she signed it at the top. The king would be signing it at the bottom. He would be under that oath, and that is to the sovereignty of the people. So therefore, we are actually higher than the king, and the king is actually a servant.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like our police forces, just like our military.
Correct.
They are all our servants, and until they cop the feck on and realize who they're working for, not an elite psychopathic corporation, but the people themselves, then we might get through to them and not have a fascist regime to move into, do you know?
Correct.
Yeah, the Queen spoiled the corporation that the King set up all those years in the Admiralty to make circumvent the world, the globe, to take the power of his plan. It was those kings that planned all of this to make their empire bigger through modern means now.
Yeah.
But the Queen she corrupted the good work, all the good work.
So where does all this fit in? I mean, obviously you tell me about this flag, which I'm hoping you're going to explain yet again, and it's well worth repeating it again and again about it. But what was I going to say? It really feels like people are struggling to know what they can do to help. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Just add my piece on that, Sean.
Yeah,
my piece on that. Yeah, where I'm coming from, to keep it simple in layman's terms. My understanding when I came across that flag was created to save the world. Now we've got a one world order, yeah, or we've got an order that the whole world can understand and agree to. The whole world is being run by one order, but that flag is in the wrong hands. And all the laws and everything that should be in it that is for the people is not being adhered to. And the corporation that's taken over is not adhering to any of those laws in it. We're just trying to put it back so it's straight in it. Then therefore it acts to what those like the bills of exchange, the Bill of Rights, should I say, and everything that's in it that should be adhered to. But the ones that have taken it, that have stolen it and are using it, are not adhering to any of those laws in it. They're making their own laws.
They're building legislation. They're inventing laws as we speak. They're bringing in bills that they don't even tell the public of the nation that they're bringing the bill into, that it exists even. And then suddenly it's an act in Parliament before they know what's going on. And it really is like hidden sharpened knives coming through at us from the courts.
Everything created for good can be used for bad, you know.
Of course.
But in the right.
And vice versa.
That's exactly, that's all it is really. Same with the money, because that's...
Well, they seem to be a death cult. They really do. I mean, they're into war, they're into vaccinations, they're into depopulation, they're into transgender genetics so that nobody has babies in the future. They're into all this stuff to basically impact a massive death of our species.
And the thing is, they've locked away the law that we can use to stop them. They're in the way. That's the point. When you bring back the laws that you can stop them, then that's it. Then they're going to have to adhere to it. Then they have got an oath that we could, because you can't hold. These are all on their oath, but they're not adhering to their oaths because
That's right. They've got a lifestyle. They've built a lifestyle out of it, out of plugging all the resources and the humans, people of their own countries into their lifestyle and forever, and while you sink in debt. This causes debt. This flag instrument, if it's used the wrong way, it will keep you as pirates.
On another point of that, I mean, I've got another sort of bit of history that I'm learning and listening to, and I was told that the Ark of the Covenant was in the wrong hands. It went to certain people, and then they took it to war when it wasn't meant to be taken to war. And that's what they've done basically with everything. They've turned everything into a killing machine. Any modern technology that comes out, they turn it into tech that they can use in military operations and kill people. Before we go on anymore, can you tell us about Maui Powerhouse?
The Maui Powerhouse is an instrument, again, like the Maui Powerhouse Band. So the Maui Powerhouse Group Limited is the corporation that you've got, and the Maui Powerhouse itself is the spiritual part of the whole business. The powerhouse is the Maui standing there in the pyramids and the obelisks. All those things are powerhouses, like Tesla in the pyramid. It's powerhouse. That's what you call it. That's its name, powerhouse. The powerhouse of that they put on their dollar note in America, the fiat money, as the powerhouse of money. The god, they've created their own money god to take the money out of you with these instruments and that flag.
Okay.
Powerhouse,
So obviously, you know, technology is being used against us. We can put people into positions where they won't be making massive corporate decisions based on oil companies and massive corporations, etc. So will we get people, after you've gone to court, after we've all gone to courts around the world and brought this regime down? I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with it, okay? Peacefully bring them down and get them out of power and put proper, in Ireland, Irish people, in New Zealand, whoever, in every country, and give them the same budget that the other governments had prior to that, and we'd be away in a hack. We could use half that budget and people wouldn't be paying tax for the rest of their lives. And we could have free energy, we could have clean water, we can have all those things quite rapidly and quickly.
All the laws that were created, that are great laws. We've got some beautiful laws out there, yeah. The only thing is we've got nothing to enforce them. This is all putting back in. It's bringing back all those beautiful laws that would be used and could be used and should be used, yeah. And now it's being put in now with because that's the thing about the Navy. The Navy was the protectorate, and that now empowers them to do it because it all comes down to who's paying it. See, the King's side should be paying it, but the Queen's side is paying it, and it's all fiat. It's all fiction. And they're paying them, and they're not doing anything because they're not paying them to do it.
I mean, like we're sitting here, and they boast about their wonderful little clock, which daily shows us, you know, our world global debt, and it goes up on a daily basis. Why? They're very good businessmen if they're doing that shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, we'd be sacked from our jobs if we did anything near as bad as they're doing.
This is all usury, though.
Yes. I just can't believe people can't see it, you know.
So when we get to the pound note and talking about these things, take a while to do zooms on each topic. So then you get the pound note instrument, and you use that as a writ warrant to put them out of power of their companies and charge them and put their face on another yellow coat as protest against them. And then put it on a video like this as an affidavit to take into court to charge them. That one, you put that note with that king on it, the rightful king on, or somebody on it that creates. You print that. We were ready to print this and thought that King Ernest Augustus would see right fit to go on the throne but now the place is wide open. He can jump in and make their business for us and pick up all the debtors and take their assets, and with a writ warrant. I've got writ warrants, and we go back. This is how clear it is. We go back and start at 1835 with King William IV. Only got 19 pages of acts with less statute acts in it to corrupt what we're doing to recover the debt.
So we have proof, basically, that these are criminals throughout history, and each one of these crimes should be addressed or readdressed or at least revisited until we can then get justice from it and move forward. Is that, have I got the gist of that?
Fraud vitiates all. Fraud vitiates all, yeah? So you go back to where the fraud went.
Yeah, so you start from where the fraud started, like Andy's saying, but you use the best instrument and to use as a video with you being live, not a straw man, dead man that goes into the court with a bar. We don't need a bar. We can do it anywhere in anybody's house and hold a court hearing like this to take to the court and put the sum of all affidavits in law. If you look up, all the sum of all your affidavits equals one. You make one affidavit out of the whole lot and bundle them all together, then go to court with it. And our ticket into the court is the Navy, that man.
Okay. So it goes back to Baron Michael Boyce.
Lord Boyce. Yeah. He's the key.
Okay, well, how accessible, how communicative?
I haven't tried. I've only just come across him, so I have to get the brain spinning up all day and night, and find how to access him. And they're listening to us now, and they'll put something to block us from getting to him. And that he has to have a conscience, like us, to have a conscience to answer to us, even on a video like this. Once he says yes to us, that's it. When we have our meetings, our hui in Maori, if we have our hui and we all say aye, when our 6 people say aye here together on a video and get it talk, or what we say, supported by the elders, that's it. That's a legal instrument now, the video. And then we get your lot with the 12 people there to say aye to yourselves there. And then we come together with your 12 and our 6 and put on a video and say aye together. That's a legal instrument as an authority to go up against them and put these writ warrants on them.
Okay, and where do we take that instrument to?
We take it with free passage with the flag after we've got our things passed, and take it to the Navy. That's what John Patterson was doing the time I was over there, because he was at the protest meeting, the Yellow Vest protest meeting, where all those people were parked up outside the Westminster gates.
Yes.
And Frank was there, and he can talk all about that because he followed the Yellow Vest people all the way through. And I joined the Yellow Vest group online, and that's where I got the idea from, was putting all their photos on a yellow vest, and we've got all those protesters supporting us. So if you tell all those Yellow Vest people, they're still there, they're still protesting, because it's only a referendum on the Brexit deal, hasn't gone through yet, to wipe Britain out and Westminster out. So they're still, you get all those protesters to say, here's the instrument with your yellow vest, and wake it up, you'll have all of them on side if they understand this.
I'm going to chuck a bit of a wobbly in here just to see what you say. I'm due in court on Monday, next Monday. And I'm presenting myself and I'm doing certain things. They're ignoring everything I do. They're ignoring my lodgements. There's no due process, and they pretty much want to lock me away. Okay, so I because of my radio show and because of what I do. So I'm wondering, can I take that affidavit in with me and close that court and get my case management file and all that?
No, it's not legal yet. We got to put the legal into it, because Chas Heswell here, the lawyer that was with me all the time, said, John, you have to put the legal back in the flag. Right. And that's what he told me before.
So really, that can't happen until you connect with the Baron Boyce and various other things.
Yep. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a catch-22, but that's fine. I'm just wondering. You know I'm brave enough to use such
I suggest, while I'm thinking about it before I forget, I suggest you use motu propria 2012, where the courts are using UCC law, and it was the Pope dissolved it. He got rid of the UCC laws because he said people are using it for fraud.
Yes.
And so now, if you go to your court and use the proprio law, motu proprio law, look it up, and I'll get the documents and send them to you. What to do?
Yes.
I'll show you how to do your court case, and the judge should run out of the court because he's using UCC law.
Well, what I've already done so far, I mean, I've already had 1, 2, 3. I've had 3 judges run away, and I'm back to a real criminal one now who is just an evil piece of work, and he thinks he's going to win. Do you know?
Yeah. So I'll put together something for you with the motu propria, and to use that for you to make life a little easier.
Brilliant.
Because
Motu propria. That's brilliant.
I've got it on my site, on another Facebook site, of the 83 Facebook sites, where I've got it all ready for now. I've got all those instruments ready for now to enforce in the courts.
Okay. And do you advise that everyone to do their live life claim? Do you advise everyone to step out of the system, or what you're doing? Really, you need people to be in the system, don't you?
Yeah, they have to be in the system. Using other instruments will only go so far. The birth things, you're trying to fight the use of the birth certificate in the courts that they have the right to use, and you can't overpower how they use it because that's their documents you're working with. Everything is the documents that you're writing on. Once you write on it, you admit it to going and speaking in their court behind the bar. And so you're again with using that birth live life claim and all that. It will work because I haven't got proof that it works for me because I haven't used it.
Well, I've been lucky. I've been lucky so far, and I've basically have never given them jurisdiction. They've never served me with anything properly, just falsely. And basically they're liars, cheats, and telling the minions below that I'm a criminal when they know damn well that there's absolutely nothing served on me at all.
So yes, you have to. It's your jurisdiction that you stand under against the court's jurisdiction. That's what we're doing here. We're saying we have jurisdiction over you and clear the court.
Yes.
You see, that's where I want to that point. Once we get things done, we can go and they'll run. They'll run for it. They won't have jurisdiction anymore. They won't be
Still a slight question here, and I know you've probably answered it, but just for my own stupidity and clarification, when you go into a court, once you've got everything dotted, you know, you've crossed the T's and you've dotted the I's, and you actually got the instrument, if you like, to go into court. What court? Where? Who's going to accept it?
Yeah, well, it depends. If you go into the district court before you're allowed to go into the high court.
Right.
Now, higher offensive or higher value that you want to claim back to a lawyer compensation or that. So the district court can't handle it. They only go up to a certain amount, 200,000 or something like that. When you go to $1 million, you go to the high court.
Yeah.
And when you go higher than $1 million, you go to the magistrate court, and so on. So in priority of your court hearing, it does matter how you go into the court dressed up as your claim on the value of it.
Yeah.
And that, but they'll always give you court lawyer so that you don't have to pay anything, and they keep the control over you. If you go in when you go in under a lawyer, you're trapped.
Yeah, well, I haven't done, and I've presented myself. And really, if you go in with a lawyer, you're basically saying I'm incompetent. This person can look after me, and they're just part of the gang and the cabal, aren't they?
That's the trick. That's the trick. So we tried it. I've been already being caught and chucked in jail for Cook Street, and I had the original Manukau titles, but because the tribe there, the iwi tribe, working for the Crown, in the Little Crown in Wellington, because they have the power over the Auckland area, the Crown listened to them, and we couldn't get our court case done and never got it finished because we didn't have any money to go to court. We would have won because the police chucked it out. They chucked it out and virtually said, John, you're free to go from prison. There's no, police have no case to answer. And so the police were wrong. I've got a bone to pick in court against the police. All the people who went against me like that, I've got them on a writ warrant. And I tried to get Troy, the lawyer Troy, signed my documents with his ecclesiastic signature for me. And I'm sticking it to them when I go to Westminster because he knew I was going there. And he said, John, I don't want my photo on your documents. Too late. It's already plugged in. And he's answerable. He's answerable to the court from his photo and those videos I took in his office. I took my camera into the police station and videoed everything, and they got rid of some of them, but I've got them because I wanted them to see that they received the papers and of going on to Cook Street with a writ warrant to take it over. And then those Maori guys, they came along with their marshal. I put them on the contract to go in there to take the land for me with a writ warrant. And so they mucked it all up. They got them by the neck and pulled them out of the office and got us all in trouble on the news. They said, oh, these marble gangsters come in and pulled them out of the office. I said, I didn't want you to do that. And so it got us chucked into jail. But no case to answer. Those boys got off for doing that. I didn't do the offence. I just did the documents and gave the documents to them. And they didn't understand how it works. They just went ahead and did it. And they just put out how they thought, because it was like a writ warrant under Admiralty to use the court-martial law over anybody and seize anything. That's what I was testing it out. I was testing it out and made sure the police cleared me to go onto the land. You see, and I've got that on video. And the people who owned the land, 3 times I went back at the videos. I've got to go and get those videos out of videoing those new owners of the land block. And I'm saying on the camera, where did you get it from? Who gave it to you? So I know that it was a shady deal, how they got it from the council, the people in the council that made a deal with this fellow with a lot of money and let him have it and put their names on the titles. Because I'm an investigator of titles. I go and put all the titles out of all the land that I see it's got fraud on it, and then plug the people up on the land and put the affidavit on those 3 times. Put it on. If they don't refute it, the people on Cook Street, then they can't win a case in court. So I've never been able to go with the money to go and pay the registry for a court hearing, and even in London, I never had the money to go to the highest court in the Rolls building in London to do my case. If I had the money, I would have wiped them all out.
Right.
Just in layman's terms again, what John's talking about there. Imagine someone getting pulled over in a car, and someone saying that's my car, and the guy says, but you get the police in, then the policeman goes, well, have you got your receipt for this car? And they say, yeah, I've got a receipt for the car, and it's got a name and address on it. And then they go back to the guy who had that receipt, and he says, yeah, I sold that car, and here's the receipt I've got from who I bought it off. Eventually, they'll go back to somebody that hasn't got a receipt for it, because John had the original title. That is what he's saying. He's got the original title, and no one bought it from me. That's what he's trying to say. So by going backwards, you find out where the fraud came in, who stole it, who sold it without the permission. Yep.
Who perpetrated the crime, basically.
Correct, yeah.
I want to ask you, John, at this point, and sorry to be so rude, who are you speaking on behalf of? Is this John Winoa on a mission, or is this John Winoa on a mission on behalf of a group of people, or is it now Yellow Vests? Where are we?
I'm there to represent the chiefs of the tribes of that flag in the first place. I'm still going to take the answer back to them after they signed it for me to go and sort this out in England with the flag and come back with good news. But I haven't yet. We've got blocked over there.
You did try to go to England, and I remember your journey, and you had lots of trouble, and some people tried to help you and stuff, but you didn't succeed. And also, John Patterson was meant to present documentation. So was Gordon Bowden to places, the TV studios, etc. What happened with all that?
So John, they've probably seized all those papers, and I'm going to reissue them again. I put them on my Facebook, about 36 pages or so of the documents he was taking to the Navy to enforce.
There's some horrible noise going on. I don't know what that is.
Your phone's crackling again, John. Can you put it? Yeah.
I'll take my hand.
Yeah, that can't be very good for people to listen to. Sorry, guys.
No, I'll just put it over here without falling over. And there, that's right. So what happened was John Patterson had the documents to take into the Navy so that they can clear us to carry on business with what we're doing, to get into the Parliament and to get into the courthouse to have a proper court hearing in there to enforce those documents. But it didn't happen because John Patterson, they probably seized them, and that's the end of that. Or he still got them, and that job he had for our group over there was not completed. So they had to wait for me to get back to England with my trespass on Heathrow Airport. And now it's clear to go back to finish the job off without John Patterson there to take it in. Now I have to figure out a way in my head, my mechanic's head, to see how we're going to get in touch with Boyce, Lord Byron Boyce, to accept these documents that we're doing. But we'll get these things sworn on to each other and sworn to that flag and the king before we send it off to Lord Baron Boyce and let him look at it first. When we completed our organizations and got the business or people all together as an organization, that's the only way a corporate crown will identify you as running a business and it's set up to go before they'll accept it. So we get that all prepared for the Baron, and hopefully I can do it myself.
Well, but you don't have to do it yourself, do you? If you've got somebody in England who lives close to where Baron Boyce lives and can possibly go...
Yeah, he can do the papers, the documents, so they have to be printed over there again from the file I have here.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm not in England, but if I knew you, John, which I do, and I lived in England and I live near this guy wherever he lives, I'd go and knock on his door. Yeah,
so that's one way of doing it, but I was gonna be professional and
I'm just an old punk rocker. I just go, oi, you, come have a word. You know what I mean?
No, they could just throw it in the bin. It has to be locked, like what we're doing here. It has to be locked, and with some live people online or letters never work for me. Writing letters never work for me. So I have to find another way to do it without letter.
Okay. Well, look. What does John Winoa, spokesman for the tribes, if you like, of New Zealand, what do you need? What do you actually need? I know it's money. I mean, everyone needs feckin' money, but do you need 12 people in each country to do the same thing? Do you need a dozen people, etc.? Sorry, go on.
Yes, I'm going on Jesse Howe's radio station in Canada,
okay,
to talk to Indian people and all those people over there waiting for me to come back with an answer. Now I've got a radio station over there to blare all over the place the same story I'm telling here.
Yes.
And go to the next country in Australia and do the same thing. So I'll be talking on myself till I got no breath left, and go to each country from the comforts of my home and talk. It doesn't take much to talk to someone.
No, here I am in Ireland and you're in New Zealand, yeah.
Just send them the videos to look at, save me talking, and then ask me questions after that, and just question.
So you're in New Zealand. Have you been on the Vinnie Eastwood show?
No, I haven't been on the Vinnie Eastwood. I've tried to go on one time, but he's got a different format. He's more in the protest field. I'm not in the protest field. I need business people who know what they're talking about in commercial language speak. not protest. What Vinny spends a lot of his time is fighting the system,
Yeah.
and I try to keep away from people fighting the system on something like this, on a format like this, to make sure to go straight to the point. So
Right.
where the problem is. Don't go around the corner to it. Go straight to the head of the problem of the snake and deal with the snake with something better than what the snake got. You see?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just thinking, off the top of my head, Virgin Radio shows around the world that you can go on, and I've got lots of contacts, obviously, because I've been in I suppose touch with them for the last 13, 14 years. So let's use those contacts. Let's use as many as we've got, and also give you the platform to say it how you want. Not all, like Vinny Eastwood, I only mentioned because he's in New Zealand. Do you know what I mean? So I mentioned him. And he is a bit of a shock jock. He does want to give it all that, and that type of stuff.
I don't appear like I'm struggling or fighting the system, because we don't need to fight with the flag.
No,
we don't need to fight.
Right, and you have the truth behind you.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and get on that guy. What's his name again? Oh, I had his name. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. I'm going to try and get on the Joe Rogan show.
Yes,
People all over the place. So that's the way to spread it quick into America.
Yeah.
So I got people in America, professional women. They can spread it.
There are some great people, around the world, and yes, you mentioned Joe Rogan. I'm pretty sure, Luke Rudowski and all those people. I think we could get you networking round, and I know it's you having to repeat yourself again and again and again, or maybe we can just get a definitive recording of you, not on my show, not on anyone's show, you laying it on the line, history, reasons, why, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then where we're going with it. If you could put that into one little nugget, sure, we could just pass that around the world, couldn't we? Like a truth.
Yeah, something like that, because I get tired of repeating myself all the time.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Give you a break.
There is a better way to do it than to do that. And I'm trying to figure out the quickest and best way, something like Trump. That's what Daryl Pan's supposed to be doing. He's my contact in America, in California. Okay. He's cozied up to Donald Trump and very close to him, that he gets to talk to him. And so he took the flag to him. And so I'm waiting for something to come out of Donald Trump. But
that's exciting.
He's got millions of followers behind his little regime, but he's Scottish. He doesn't want Britain taken over by Brexit and the EU. So he's there on our side, even though he's a Freemason on the other side. Yeah. And so I can't completely trust him or anybody that's made a lot of money out of the Admiralty. And not think about other people and put it on war and all that and carry on fighting wars. And he's responsible to the wars because he put money and arms into other countries that they've invaded. And that's the part I don't like. I don't like money spent from our trust fund on war and all that.
So how could we trust Baron Michael Boyce? How could we trust a royalist, loyalist Brit, to allow you through to bring the British Empire down?
Yeah, well, it's only going to be his own conscience, and replying to me as the position I take here on the flag. If I do it myself. Because nobody else can do it without the titles and everything else to go with it, and try that. But it's going to take a lot of thinking how to get him, because I had George Zambalis, I wrote him letters, and Horton, the army chief there, trying to give him those photos. Their photos is on my page. It's always been stuck there since 2009 or so, where they were in charge, and I was trying to get through to them exactly what I'm doing now. And I never heard back from them because I've been silenced from engaging with me. And so I've left their photos there all the time, and me in the judge's seat on the picture. If we look at the middle of my picture on my Facebook site, you can see me sitting there as the judge. And I mean it. I really mean it to them on the Navy. that I am a native assessor of titles and a judge in our court, in our way of doing things with the flag, I'm just using that. The Navy are obligated to us and tried to get the message to him with the video of Dion and the flag and the statement coming out of a Navy chief's mouth saying they're obligated.
Who uses the flag? Is the flag at the moment being used by anyone? Is the Navy using the flag as well?
They're using the flag for running their corporate business with the permission and the consent from the iwi Maori tribes, and the Governor General gets it from the iwi tribes leaders, and the Governor General sends that consent to the Queen, and the Queen goes and gives it to everybody else that she trades her business with, and that's how. Yeah.
Well, that's confusing me a little bit, because what you're saying is the peoples of New Zealand, in effect, gave them the
our own people.
Right.
Our own people gave the consent to use that flag to interpret. They changed the 1835 Declaration into their own Treaty of Waitangi instrument to use their own instrument and cover over and smother out the flag and leave it hanging on the crossrun opposite the British flag and fly their Union Jack flag of the sea and against the one on the land and take it and took it to the Queen and said, we have the authority of this flag here on the crossrun with yours to go and do what we like. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they spread it through all and swap laws and statute acts in other countries who are usurping, and the Pope and the Washington DC, all those corporate companies sucking the guts out of that flag and its Admiralty for their documents, all about documents, and crawling onto land off the sea.
So are you telling me they have their power to do all the things they're doing because of that instrument, the flag?
It's a war flag. If you use it to protect your corporate trading bank business, you can cause war to protect your business and your assets. And that they're doing that instead. It's supposed to be to protect our trade here with the chiefs in Britain for anybody getting in the road.
Yeah. So like that. Your people, you've educated me, okay? Your people mistakenly and wrongly consented to this bullshit, okay? That's basically in Ireland, in our history, we had the same thing happen after our Civil War, and we had people in agreement with a provisional government, if you like. Now, first of all, we had Michael Collins, who was, if you like, our head general of our army, okay, who agreed to it. But he only agreed to it for 2 years. So they then killed him before the 2 years were up. So that null and voided that contract. And they reinstated a brand new, wherever it came from, contract for 99 years, which actually, John, historically is amazing. It ran out on the 6th of December, 2021. So just gone. So we have now got liars. They're not even a government. They're not even a provisional government anymore. Their contract is finished. It's over. So in Ireland, we could go back and take our 32 county sovereign Republic of Era back tomorrow if the people knew the truth.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
We're in the same position.
We're trying to get everybody together to follow what I do with our people over here as a model, what to do. So show them how to do it. And that's what you're there for, to tell them this is how you do it.
Yes.
You don't go and fight the system. You do it this way.
Yes.
What you call it? You do it diplomatically,
yes.
In the right fashion, so that they can't move.
If they don't lock me away after the 16th of May and I'm not in a lunatic asylum or a prison, because that's where they'd like to put me, if I'm free, my gosh, I'll be working very, very hard to make your thing happen here in Ireland as well. Do you know?
Yeah, so everybody has to see what is going on first, to see what we are about, to see what I'm talking about, and then they won't sleep on it because they suddenly see there might be a way out, an exit out of the trouble they're in, if it happens to us and these people here start doing something about it.
Yeah,
And
we've really got to explain things to people though, John, because people live in the fear of the unknown. And a lot of our information, a lot of our history in all nations has been suppressed and airbrushed out of the books. And so the children don't even know their own history of their own lands. Okay. And that's what's really difficult. It's because they're just so used to these little sound bites. They can't believe it's like a dream come true, if you like. It's too good to be true. There you go. That's really what they think. So they can't get their head round what you're trying to do.
It's the media and the books that they publish that the people trust what is written, and change the history. They changed everything, the road signs, the names of the places and all that to suit their own corporate business. And so they have to see into how they manage to get the power over the people from these instruments of the Westminster Parliament out into all the other countries, applying those acts, and so we have to understand each bit. There's a lot of bits to put together in zooms of each thing before you get the picture of the whole thing. It's not just one thing; it's a many things. That's why people can't win, because they only got a half cup full.
It's like a big wheel, isn't it, with lots of spokes in it, and we need spokesmen for each bloody spoke. You know, we need to have the knowledge of the whole wheel. We can't just go in there with a little bit of it. You know, listen, at this point, I'd like to say there's a gentleman just sat behind you, and he did. We've only got a bit of audio here. I have no visuals on my show, so I'd like to introduce him. John, who's the gentleman sat behind you?
Mitchell. He's in the courts. He's spent years in the courts and can understand the paperwork and the legal speak to address the people on how things are corrupted and put them right with what I'm doing. So he's looking at what I do for Britain from the British end, and he's doing the land here in New Zealand.
Well, Mitchell, welcome to Out of the Bag, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Okay. And chip in anytime you want. If John needs a bit of a breather, you're welcome to chip in anytime you like. Okay. You're welcome. So look, sorry, John.
Carry on.
Oh, right. Well, really, I mean, let's talk about what John Patterson's documents were. What are they?
I'll put them up online so everybody can read it. Read what it is. It's basically to take our orders to the Parliament and through the Navy to put what I'm saying on the Parliament, and to give us our authority back for the and the Navy to especially the Navy to okay us with the documents. Those documents are full of legal stuff, and to present our case. It's
and
like
what are you going to do with that authority? I mean, I know that there are people in the judicial system here in Ireland, I've met them, who are criminals and should be in prison, and they're judges and they're Garda and they're solicitors and they're lawyers and they're all these people, but they're a criminal cabal working together against the people, stealing land as we speak, right as we speak. They are doing that right now all over Ireland. I'm presuming they're doing it in other countries as well. Does it give us the authority to citizens arrest, to get the Garda or the police forces of our country to say, those are criminals, arrest them?
Yeah, so we've got orders. I put orders together from the acts of King William IV to apply those acts to against the people, like we got with the yellow vest. All those people come under certain acts of that to take out all the statute acts in the way. From 1835, we got less statute acts to get in the road in a court hearing that the judges of today can't go against.
Right. So will it make everything from then on really is null and void?
Clean. Back to square one before they put all the acts of amendments to their acts to suit their little crown. We're going back to big crown, two different beasts here. The little crown in the countries and like Ireland and the big crown in Westminster is the big crown. We're on the front. So little crowns are agents of the big crown, which is the principal, which is us with the flag. So there, we're the boss. We are the boss of every other corporation going on in the little crowns all over the world. We got the king's authority, we got the king's pound note, we got the king's axe, we got the king's free passage through the world, but it's only been silenced. It hasn't been extinguished off the records.
No, it can't be, can it?
No, that's why they're still allowing us to do things, and they're not wiping us and those photos off those yellow vests because they can't. Because I told them, I warned them, I put a record on your head if they didn't take me seriously.
Yeah.
You see, they thought I'm fooling.
So now the media, the global media, has been able to create splits and arguments and infiltrating and trolls within the yellow vest movement. Should you be hooking yourself to any movement at all? Should it not just be a people's movement for anyone, whether they're a yellow vest, whether they're a pink vest, whether they're a green vest? You know what I mean? So
what happens here is all the people in the world and Germany and all those countries that are protesting all the time is doing the same thing as England. They've got protests going on all over the place against the crown. It's all against the crown. And the wealth that the people see going somewhere else. And
absolutely. I mean, if the Irish people knew that every single tax dollar, tax euro that they've paid in the last 40 years at least has gone into the consolidated fund constantly, totally. And who is that? That is Washington, London, and the Vatican, isn't it?
Yeah. Vatican, Washington, D.C., and the City of London. Those three corporations are running that crown business by stealing it, and we're going in with a default warrant, a default back to the king, and take the power off them of Admiralty. It's the Admiralty that keeps them alive. If you get the heart of the problem, which is the Admiralty, off them in this flag, and they'll die.
Okay,
they will die. All at one hit.
Listen, I'm going to give you, John, a little break from talking too much at the moment, because I know that you've been doing your 10 a.m. for, well, this morning you had, I don't know how long your Zoom meeting went on, and now you're doing this, and obviously you're going to be going on many other shows, etc. I've got a friend of mine who said to me, would John Winoa be willing to listen to a couple of Sean Maguire's poems before he goes into the second hour? Now we're over the second hour. Would you like to hear a couple of poems?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. In the place.
Because look, I'm not a radio host. Okay, I never wanted to be a radio host. I always was a performing poet. That's what I did. I upset people as a poet, and they gave me a radio show. So I'm going to give you two poems, one after the other. One is global problem, and one is Irish problem. And they're both political, and I'd love you to hear them. And Andrew, I hope you don't mind. You probably heard them. You probably heard them before, Andrew. Do you know? Okay. This one is.
And are you able to email the words to us so we can have them?
Well, I have them in my book, but yes, I could do that at some point, Mitchell. I could do that.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. So this one is called "The Warlords Sip Their Tea in Error," and it goes like this. The war on terror, it goes on forever, when it should be never. While warlords sip their tea in error, feeding us their nightmare dreams allows them to continue with their money-making schemes. Schemes, scams, Iraq, Iran, peacekeeping troops in Afghanistan. Innocent civilians are being killed every day. They have no rights. They have no say. Children being born with unbelievable mutations, the result of any nation with radiation. Contamination. Let the world know what is really going on. Talk about it, write about it, put it into song. Show the countries being abused in the name of keeping order. Adjust the pawns in the capitalist game, the American and British disorder. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. That was good. Very inspirational.
Thank you. Well, that's one. Okay, so that's global. And this one's specifically for Ireland, or ERA, as I like to call it. And it goes like this.
ERA. Okay, then you say it. ERA.
Yeah, ERA. If the banks are criminally banging on your door and the only crime they pin on you is the class bullshit of being poor, and the sheriffs, bailiffs and Garda are just acting corporate whores, I think it's time for a revolution. When we get together and we learn to be wise, and that system comes attacking in its varied forms of disguise, all we gotta do is never recognize. It's time for a revolution. The controllers of our nation say that economic eviction is necessary to save the banks. Do you see the contradiction? And looking after their interests seems to be their predilection. I think it's time for a revolution. They write the statutes, changed our laws, they've breached our constitution. It's affecting families' homes like a form of sick pollution, and nowhere in the future do they deserve any absolution. Do you know what? I think it's time. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Yes,
Choice.
yes.
That's choice.
Thank you. So there we go. That's for this show. And I saved those ones for you because I knew you'd like them, John. Okay. Right.
Beautiful word.
We like
Thank
it.
you very much.
Cool, you're welcome. So look, that's it. We've got another, I don't know, we'll go on for another 40 minutes, I'd say. And in that time, what can we do to G people up, to give them the knowledge that they can then go out and help you and come to you and give you a hand at doing what you're doing?
The thing is to come together and spread the word of an idea that would help them and help everybody to understand what's causing the problem, and go to the root problem itself and try to figure it out for them.
Well, you seem to have done a lot of work for us, John, because we all sort of know the root of the problem. We know who it is, we know what they're doing and all the rest of it. But for you to take it back to a timeline, to an actual event, to a change of a royalty, for example, a change of a bloodline family, that's what you've done. You've taken it back to a point in time that we can work from, haven't you?
Yeah, so we're trying to clear the titles first, the certificate that's been put over and mortgaged your land off, and that's just one leg of it, and then you've got all the other human rights and all those added in on top of it. So we have to say what's a good, clean way to do it all, and simple. And what I say would be the simplest way to approach a problem this big. It's a big problem.
It really is massive, yeah.
One place that if they tuned in to this one place, then listen at least to some of it, they've got some. If they listen to all of it, then they'll get more of a picture. That'll be one spread to the next, to the next, to the next. And the more people that know how to tackle the problem, they'll come in and do it. The yellow vest people all over Europe and Britain is a good start. And I'll go back to the site and drop everything on the yellow vest join where I am, and drop all these videos on there so they can look at them and listen to and think, oh dear, there's a way out.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Well, could you not do that? Not just the yellow vest. You could do it to Extinction Rebellion. You could do it to all the Occupy movements. You could do it to all the people that have done all those things over the years. There's groups and segments that have all been split up. You know, they're all great people doing great work. There's the fluoride campaign in Ireland. There's the GM foods campaign. There's the hemp campaign. There are all these people. We don't just want to stick it to one. We want to give it to all, don't we? So maybe we should try and get a contact with every single group and give them a video of you or this interview or what you and Andrew have been doing on Zoom, etc., and get this information out there.
Yeah, so that's the best way. The media has gone and locked up all the channels, the TV, the everything. And even Facebook, I'm limited to how many people can see my page. Only the people around me and all the 5,000 just about people of my friends, they stopped the limit there. So I can't get any more than that. And not many people are looking at my page to see what's going on.
And
so
they're able to block it, and they're able to do all sorts to it, yeah.
So I have to get the website going and put just the videos, just the information in there so they can go to it. But the idea was to drive a lot of people to one place so that they can see what's going on, and having somebody that can got a good media all over the world and tune into them and put the word right through the world somehow on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Everything I put online has been going on Twitter since about 2008. So everything that I talk, these videos go straight automatically on Twitter. And now they've got Twitter, they don't block anything I put up there.
It sounds very much like you're in a pretty much same dichotomy as myself. I need someone media savvy to help me, and I only know Facebook and little bits and bobs. I don't know much about technology, so it'd be really great if I could find a media person. But really, it'd be even better. Hey, if that media person's out there who wants to help me, guess what? Help John for a bit and come back to me later, because you do need this to get out there globally so that everybody knows what's going on. Do you know?
So we need the shareholders back on that website I put up. And it was working. It was working with tag pay.
So you've got a website now, have you?
Yeah, I've got to pay for it to put it back up again, and then rehash it and get the share thing working again. And so people can go there for the information in one place and drive them there to put the buy shares into what we recover, and they become shareholders. Trust. We got the Moai King William IV Trust. That's got to be.
Well, I've covered trusts over the years on my shows, and it's the way to go. I mean, that is the way to go. That is what we need. You
got the Moai King William IV Trust that we're registering over there, and not over here, over there. But we run it in conjunction with New Zealand to run that business as well as the Moai Crown. So we've got these instruments to show people how where if you contribute to it, you become a shareholder in all that business we recover. That was the whole idea of this energy in the sea, water, money coming from the turbines, making electricity forever.
So that's another big subject. We're going to have to talk about what that plan is. But there are many, I suppose, environmental impacting issues that you're going to be coming across anyway, because once you fight those corporates, they'll have to stop doing all those damaging things to our environment. Surely, I would have thought, when wise people are put in control.
I was in contact with the Scottish energy companies in the tidal turbines in the sea at the time, way back in 2008. And now that they've got the turbines in the sea, clears the way for me on that precedent case that I can go straight into it without any problem. Yes. And I was going to start with the Scottish in Scotland up the line there in one of those bays. I forgot the name of it, but I was going to start there with the Scottish grant. I put in for a Scottish grant for the government to put my plans in there, and so I wasn't able, because I didn't have a team behind me and an organisation, and that's just where all the funding will go from what we recover straight into the project right around the world, one hit.
It sounds incredible. And I'm just sorry.
The turbine will make more power than all the other electricity things put together, except nuclear. Nuclear is the only one, and that can make the power to match up against a tidal turbine power.
Yeah, but with a slightly with a little bit of fallout there that we don't really, we could do without the nuclear, couldn't we? Really?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
I think the French testing their nuclear bombs in the Araroa was probably one of the biggest crimes on humanity, wasn't
it? Yeah, something like that. But that's becomes human accidents that can happen with nuclear plants. Now you've got a threat. You've got a threat of the nuclear and Putin setting off his nuclear weapons and starting a nuclear war.
Look. I mean, I grew up with Margaret Thatcher and President Reagan. They were going to press the bloody button and we were all going to blow up. It's fear. And that's what the feckin' elites love. The psychopathic Satanists love that. So, look, let's not be scared of them, and let's make sure that John still has his smiling face when he walks in with his papers, being signed already and backed by Baron Boyce as well, and goes in and sorts these feckers out,
So that's what we're doing. Protection. We're trying to get the numbers behind us and support us with this fair system. And a lot of people were putting money in it with Andy. Andy was appealing to a lot of people to get me to England.
Yes.
and lots of people put into it, and they will do it again when they get their confidence, because they thought I was gone forever. And they thought the end of John and the whole share business, and they lost everything. Now I'm saying to those people to get a hold of me so that they can pick up where their shares are. And I've got to go through all the trouble myself to set all the shares up on top of everything as well, to put the website where it was functioning properly in the first place before it got hacked to bits. But all these people, trolls and all the government trolls and all the rest of it, hacked my bank and got rid of my bank, got me in prison and all the rest of the damn things I had to put up with the last 2 years. Now I'm back again. And I won't be getting into that mistake again of walking into a police station and going with the police to the hospital because I'm tired in the library, doing my lives in the library. And then the library reported me to the police that I was talking about these things online, and they were listening. They were listening to me talking online, and they said, "Oh, this is no good." And then they bring the police, and the next minute the police pull up and says, "Oh, somebody, we'll take you to get a checkup for your heart," because I had heart problems. I don't have heart problems now, but then I was, because it was too much of a load on my head with all this history of Mohi Manukau, all that history whopped on my head to carry on the legacy of the Paramount Chief, to finish off the job, what he told me to do. And I've got that on top of my head, as well as all the rest of them.
How much I see Mitchell there, how much of a team have you got there in New Zealand with you?
Well, there's me and Alfred of the original Confederation, and the other ones have gone their own separate ways to do things in their part of the Confederation, of the chiefs of the North to hierarchy, and boundary areas of those chiefs that signed. And so they haven't come out with something as well to get them together. They're talking apart from each other.
Yes.
And they all split up, and we'll see if these videos work to bring them together and talk to each other. And so we've got to get our backyard right first with our own people, because it's their flag that was given to them and us here. So they have to do something about it as well. That's why I'm bringing that guy, that guy Forrester, back on Monday. Monday I'll go on again, Andy, at 6 o'clock in the evening, and he'll be the first one to talk, and he'll lay out the plan, because he's got the economics, and he said he's got the brain to do business, and he can lay it out in a short time. And
who is this again? Explain who this guy is again.
Well, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Explain who that is again.
No, hang on.
I can hear.
It's muted. Hang on.
I can hear.
I've stopped it.
No, we can hear you, John. We can hear you.
Matt Taylor. No.
We can hear you.
I've got to turn it off and turn it on.
Yeah, you're going to flop out and come back in again.
They're blocking us from talking.
Yeah. Okay. So
John will just pop out and come back in again, though.
Right, that's fine.
Can you hear us, John? He'll be back in a second anyway.
Yeah. Well, look, it's what is it? It's 2:30 in the morning here, so it's what, 5:30 where you are?
No, 4.
4.
4:33 here.
4:33. It's 2:33 here. My gosh.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what you got to
the
point here is, Sean. The point here is obviously the prevention is the cure. Yeah. So any problem you've got, whatever the problem is, the prevention was the cure. The true cure, right, for any problem.
They're watching what I'm saying, and they don't like it. The authorities.
John, can you hear us?
Watching.
You can't hear us now. I'll mute him anyway.
Yeah, you mute him.
So come back in.
This
like
is madness. Yeah.
Like I say, Sean. The thing is, everyone, let's just stick to logic. Yeah. Prevention is the cure. Yeah. So prevention is the cure, which everybody knows. So now we've got the problem. So what the problem is? The problem is what we're living in right now. So what is the prevention? What stopped it in the very first place? Yeah. So the prevention would be, for something to be, there has to be a beginning. So you have to go back to the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
John's doing. John's taking it back to the ship. It's the King's line, Rex, which is the straight line. So he's keeping it back on that, keeping it back on that straight and narrow truth, which is what the whole point about what the King's line was meant to be doing. So all these laws, that were brilliant laws that everyone should be able to be used, but there's no one enforcing them. because it shipped off onto a Queen's line. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
take it back to that King's line, then bring it back on that straight and narrow to enforce those, which is what the Navy is meant to be doing, because the Navy is the protectorate. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a pacifist. I don't want war. Nobody wants war. But the point is, they're not there for war. They're there for protection. This is what John's saying. So the corporate side of things is you can't mess with business. So if you mess with business, that's what that flag was. That flag was there to stop anyone messing with business.
Right.
But it's in the wrong hands. So this is that's all we're saying. So to bring it back, to clean something up, you have to go back to the beginning to see where it went wrong. You know, you can't fix a problem with a problem. The only way you can fix the problem is by going back and removing that problem, which is the prevention. So you take back the prevention, which is because when I like I say, with my research, when I found John, everything that he was saying, it all led to everything that I'd found about anyway. So it's all understanding where it went wrong. Like I say, when the Rothschilds used the wars, because the bankers used the wars, so all wars are, you know, bankers' wars, as you know. So they used Napoleon, yeah, to bankrupt England.
Yes.
Yeah, they used that war, saying that Napoleon had won. They bankrupted England. England sold out, like, yeah, and the Rothschilds bought it out. And to forgive the royals the debts, this is when now they stepped in. Rather than dissolve the royalty, they took the royalty and created their own line, and they took it off on a different line. So we're going back to that point. Yeah,
To take
like
it
you
back
say,
and
when
put
you
it
come
back
back to that
online.
point, now you've got the Navy, which is in that flag, which you can't see it, but in those blue squares, you know, you see there's inside that red cross. That red cross has got the black line around it.
Mm-hmm.
That black line that's around that little red cross, which is the king's, the gold, yeah, the gold basically. So that's where the black line was the Navy to lock out the pirates and Satan from the money. And as you all know, who controls the money now? And what did Rothschild say? If I control the money, I don't care about anybody's government, because I also don't care about the military or the Navy or anything, because I'm the one that's paying them. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, well, look, you can tell my frustration, can't you, during this interview? Because basically I just want John's information, John's mission, and John's, I suppose, results to happen. I want them to happen. I want it to make a difference, and for people not to ignore it, and for it to gather momentum, and for everyone to get behind it. That's what I want. It's so frustrating to find it still struggling, you know.
It's people's understanding of it. I mean, a lot of the other people. See, this is the thing. People are saying the royalists out there. The royalists out there, right? Yeah. If those people are those royalists out there, right? Yeah, who are saying like the Queen, the Queen, the Queen. The point is, they're all singing like same with the Sex Pistols. Yeah, they're arseholes, mate. They was arseholes for singing "God Save the Queen" in the fascist regime, because that's what they was telling people to say: save the Queen. You know, let's face facts.
No, that wasn't what God Save the Queen was about. Reread the lyrics.
Yeah, well, I know what they read, but it's still saying those words. But the point is, like, what I'm trying to say is,
God Save the Queen and a fascist regime. It wasn't saying we agree with that. Do you know what I mean?
But they were singing those words. Yeah. Remember, words are spells. But
they are spells. Okay.
Yeah. The point here is, right. Yeah. How can you fix something? You can see what I'm trying to say. You can't fix something with some, because the Queen has no authority. She's a third party to a two-party contract. This is what John's saying. The contract with that flag was with the King's line, yeah, and the Paramount Chiefs, which was the Paramount Chiefs was equal to a king. So where's the Queen come into this one? Because there is no Queen. Salic law forbid queens. So if you're going to go to the Queen for the saviour, and this is another point that I'm trying to say about Edward Ellis and the Royal Commission. You know, you're trying to go for a Royal Commission when your royalty is coming from a fake. The Queen.
It's like the game of chess. I mean, if you think about if you think about the game of chess, okay, one can only go from you can only rise through the ranks from being a pawn to be a queen. You can't be a king.
Correct.
You know, and that is really it. That's their trap. That's their message, I suppose. This is us at the pinnacle of our power, and you're not going to get anywhere near it, because you need to be king above our queen to have any power.
Yeah, and the king can't be taken. The king can only be put into check.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what's happened. The king was put into check. The king's been gagged. the King's Bench Court has been gagged. It's been silenced. It's been put into check. But once
talking of gagged and silent, sorry, once that what? I'll let you finish that point.
Yeah, so that's what you're trying to say. The King's been put into check. The King's been gagged. We're trying to bring the King back with the King's side for the laws that has. And remember, because listen, I'm not for a king either. You know that. I'm not here for any of that. But the point is, what's been created? Why should that all be destroyed?
No, it's exactly the same situation that Ireland is in. It's a Freemason IRB Sinn Féin conglomerate that were originally voted in. That wasn't what we all wanted, but that's what was voted in. Then King George V decided, no, I don't like losing elections, and killed our fucking government and took over. And that's what we have now. Since then, a provisional government. But it really is incredible that we had a government here that was looking after us and was chosen by the people, killed by someone. That is a crime that if any other country in the world had a government that won a general election, put into position of power, and they were all taken out and shot by the losers, I think there'd be a bit of a hubbub about it. I think there'd be someone saying something about it, and nobody saying anything. And we need to take our history back to that point, like you're saying, you know, the British history, take it back to the King and the changeover to the Queen. For us, it's take it back to our Dáil, our original voted in government, because we didn't have kings or queens, and then take it from there. That's where the crime is. Now, to be honest, us just taking it back to then doesn't make it perfect, just like taking it back to the flag doesn't make it perfect, but it gets us back to the point before the massive global takeover and psychopathy took place.
The other point about John is, he said, I'm not here to break laws, we're here to make them. Those laws have already been made. Those laws are already there for us. Yeah. So, you know, when you come back, see, I mean, let me just clear up another thing, because John's been talking about the Baron. The Baron David Ward is not the same as the Baron, because the Baron of Nobility, which is a title, is not the Baron David Ward. Baron means free man. Baroness means free woman.
Yes,
that's
that's quite different. That's quite different than being given a lauded title of Baron.
Exactly. And the point here is this: like, free men and free women, men and women, are equal. All it's equal. So this is the point. And a king would be a servant to the people. Yes. So that's the point. Men and women, therefore, are more powerful than the king. The king was just a spokesperson for the people. That's where it should be.
Absolutely.
John's back now as well, so beautiful.
Yeah, and talking of being suppressed and everything, hopefully, John, you weren't kicked off for some silly reason, and it was just technology biting our art, as they say. Welcome back, John, to the show.
Thank you. Carry on.
Well, we did, and Andrew was fantastic, and he carried on in your absence. It's great to have you back. We've only got about, I don't know, quarter of an hour left to try and get something across, John. Is there anything we've missed? Is there anything you need to say that you think we haven't covered?
There's too many things. We were going to talk about another time. The instrument and Ernest Augustus, Gordon Brown, agenda for today. So that's all I got of notes, and I'll put the agenda up for this as well.
I tell you what you could do for my Irish listeners as well. Could you tell us the I suppose the Winoa connection with Richard Rogan and Rebecca Cosgrove?
Okay, so the Rogans here, they constructed the original Native Magistrate Court Bank in Helensville, married into the Mohi Manukau's family, the Manukau title. That's why they put the title on the whole of New Zealand. And then they went through the two strongest tribes, the Wānoa down the east coast where the Marae is linked to, and they went to the Manukau's for the rest of the Moriori history and title the British. And then so they used those two names with the Cosgroves marrying the Maori and my family. And the Rogans marrying my family, those two Manukau's, they put the land titles together, and it's been. That's why they never confiscated the lands down the east coast where I'm from. They confiscated everybody else's except us. They didn't touch us. We're with the British, not with the here. That's why. So my family's connected to Easter Island and the Moai, And so they hid that story away. They hid everything that me and the Manukau family were supposed to be looking after all the titles with the Freemasons. And the Freemasons will be watching me on everything I do. And they know what I do is the right way. They touch me. They won't put a silver bullet in my head, see, because I'm at great risk of talking about Freemasons when I'm not a Freemason, but I do everything the Freemasons do with Mohi Manukau's permission. But none of them told me not to do anything. At the gravesite, when Mohi died, I was there, and all the Freemasons around dressed in black, and I did my speech, and they said, give all the things back. And I never did, because I held on to all that knowledge in my head, not on paper. You see?
Yeah.
And so what came out of Mohi Manukau's mouth to me, that's been in me and a load on my head. It bothered me all these years carrying all that, and to try and complete what Mohi put me to do.
And can you not share that burden?
No, you can't share it, because family, I've got to put their family right, because they're all up to hell as well. And Eru Manukau, who's supposed to go with the Confederation's blessing to United Nations, and so he put us into the United Nations, and so I'm going the other way to Britain instead of going around the corner. And so there's a conflict between Eru Manukau and me, but he doesn't have the documents of the Freemasons. I do. I inherit those, not him, because he's a family that couldn't come back into the country because they stopped them from coming to see his father's funeral, and that because he put a Maori bank here from Dubai, where he got the funding, but they wouldn't let it in the country. And so there's the problem there, that already that Eru is waiting at the United Nations with his authority of that flag, still using the flag in the United Nations, waiting for Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister, to go to the United Nations, and he'll swipe it off them. He'll swipe it off them and get it back off them, because it doesn't belong to them. He'll speak there as a Maori, not a native, as a Maori. So you're still tied up with the government here, calling yourself a Maori. Everything that he does is a Maori government, not a of Awaroa, not something else that's British. The British don't talk that way. Only the United Nations. So that was a charter between us and the United Nations. I'm making this contract back to the flag, straight to Britain, where it came from.
Okay. And you need to be a corporation to fight the corporations. You can't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you have to? Can you not fight it from being not a corporation?
No, you can't, because you can't go and step into their court or in the system, because they can't hear you and they can't recognize your documents if it has something they're using at the same time. So you have to match what the memorial.
Contract to contract. Yeah. Corporation to corporation, living to living. Living they don't match.
Understood. Okay, so people do find it hard to get their heads around that. If you like, if you're anti-corporate and then you find that you need to be a corporation to even battle them, is like going into the political arena and as a political party and knowing it's completely corrupt.
So there's three things you have to match them: the memorials that they've stolen, and you claim back because it's theft for God. For one thing, the God on their God and the God on our side in the Pacific is the Moai, is answerable to this God, higher God. So that distinguishes God's side of the Bible to this God straight up without a Bible, right? I'm there with no Bible, only my mouth talking straight up. No Bible, no words to read from. We didn't have that. The British brought that here, and did all the people in the Pacific follow the Bible now, but not the money. See, you see, they follow. They preach the Bible while the British people take the money off the land.
Oh, absolutely, they're just lying on they have no oath on the Bible. They go into court and swear on the Bible and then lie through their teeth. So I have no idea what that book means to them.
I'm using the seal of King William IV on my documents. I'm using the seal of the 8-point star of St. Patrick, and I'm using the seal of King William on his horse on my documents. Those are three powerful instruments to go on your document, and they are using them. They are using them, but they don't own the rights to them as the indigenous people that the king gave it to, not those corporate on the other side. You see, I'm using what was given to us, the proper gold coins on King William and on his horse on dry land, his horse on dry land, and on your document. That's what I'll tell people. I tell people to get your land back is to use the original document seals that the Crown itself is using to swipe everything off you with the Admiralty. So there, I'm doing the Admiralty's job on a ship to take your land back to you, give it back to you, and your native title, and carry on with the business of corporations so you have the money for yourself. Don't get rid of them. Don't try and get rid of the corporations because it's too big. All you do is better documents to take it over and keep it running on your side of it.
Yeah, once the knowledge is out there and you achieve this, and I'm being positive that you do achieve this, will we then have the global military on our side? Will we then have military coups maybe of tyrannical governments peacefully being marched away by gunpoint to their prison cells?
Yeah, so there'll be less force around when you have peace with getting that power back off them to spend on war instead of on people. We don't do that unless they are a threat to our trade. That black mark on that cross on the flag is to protect our business. It's a trading bank seal flag to protect our trade between here and Britain and the world. So there, that's what that means in the right sense of a corporation of that flag that our people, the Maoris, don't understand that. They don't see it as that. They just fly it around and say the king gave it. That's all they can say. They can't say anything else more to it. I'm just adding some more to it so they can learn its power to take back your power for all the countries in the world that's been conquered by a queen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking a whole commonwealth, aren't we, of course? Look, it's
the world where the business has gone.
Yeah.
You follow the business into America and America too. Everywhere, India, Africa, all the places where they do business with the crown, the big crown.
Yes,
yes. So if it all that wealth goes back to that crown, and where it's gone outside the Commonwealth from the United Nations, wherever the United Nations has gone, you follow that one too. That's it. And where the wealth's gone, because it's come from New Zealand first before it's come from Britain through us, the middleman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and you are first and second partners. I'm the first partner with the flag. You're the second partner. No other third party. Got it?
Yeah.
No, like this.
That's how it works, Matt. If you understand that in contract law.
Yes.
Contract law. Contract makes law, and law makes contract.
Well, everything is contract law at the moment.
Yeah, even verbally saying something online to someone else is a contract. If you make a statement, if I make a statement to you and a note to you, and everybody sees it, they witness it. Yes, so that's how in this video. That's why I don't like anybody talking, because it spoils the video, the affidavit.
Yes, absolutely, which is why you need to make those specific videos to maybe, share them around the world. John and Andrew, and was it Mitchell? I've forgotten your name then, Mitchell. Alfred, sorry, Alfred. It's come to the point that I think we will end the conversation, because I think you should come on again, maybe in a few weeks' time, maybe a little bit longer, when maybe a few more things have happened and we've managed to maybe touch a few more nerves and get a few more people on board. What do you think? Days' time, not weeks. Days' time. Oh, really? The sooner the opportunity to have another Zoom meeting, because there's a lot of elements to deal with in everything, can't be done in one shot. Yeah, I hear you. Well, sadly, I've only got a weekly radio show, John. You're welcome on it as often as I can get you on it. Next week, I do have the wonderful Alfred Lambermont Weber coming on, and he's talking about believe it or not, multi-dimensional contracts with other beings from other planets. So I don't know where that's going to go or what it's going to do or what we're going to talk about, but bringing it back to reality here on Earth where we are, you with your knowledge and your history, us in Ireland with our knowledge and our history, we need to take our sovereignty, and if we don't use it, as Billy Maguire from the IRB says, we will lose it. We've got to use it. We've got to stand up in our power, and we've got to take our power back from these psychopathic elite corporations, don't we?
Yep, that's right.
We do, we do. So listen, Andrew, John and Alfred, thank you so much for being on Out of the Bag. And obviously we might have a little chat after I stop recording, but for my listeners, it has been wonderful to hear from John Wanoa, and hopefully in the very near future, the Confederation of United Tribes of New Zealand will succeed in their mission, and many of us around the world will be very grateful and will be joining in with the celebrations. Thank you guys for coming on Out of the Bag.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John.
There you go, finish recording, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, I'll carry on recording anyway. I'll carry on recording if you want to go.
Oh, sorry guys.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to... Sorry, John. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah. Well, listen, do you know Thomas Paine?
I've heard of Thomas Paine, yeah.
Man, he was beautiful, mate, yeah. I've looked at some of his sayings, mate, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a beautiful guy. In fact, he was the guy, in fact, we was talking I was talking about that with somebody today. And he was the guy who created the Declaration of Independence in America.
The American one. Yeah.
His books, like, yeah. He is one true diamond of a guy, you know. He real talks the truth of the whole thing, and apparently it's something to do with the line of the Mercury and retrograde or something. I forget because I don't know all this. There's
a bit of sacred geometry and there's a bit of
exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the same time was when that was created is the same time as what's happening now. So it's the same again. So the truth's coming out there, and people are going to be realizing. So there's going to be a lot of this, you know, a lot of confusion of people now because they're going to start to realize that so the truth's coming out. So the people that are not aware or not aware of what's going on around in this world, they're starting to become aware of it. So there's going to be a lot of people that are confused right now. This is what they were saying. So it's the idea of time. This is the year. This is the year according to planetary lineup and things like that.
Yeah.
Not that I know anything about astrology or anything.
No. Well, there's a lot going on, and it's up to us to manifest those things into reality. We in Ireland at the moment, we've just updated the 1919 Constitution up to 2022. We've just rewritten the Declaration of Independence and the proclamation. I've just written the new proclamation under the Poets Act. Which is quite funny, and we're going to present that at various places and talk to people and try and get people back on track with the truth and give them their power back to stand in their own power. Because I mean, at the moment we are having a massive land grab against our people. People are being put into prisons and loony bins, and they're having their land taken away from them. That is what's going on. People around the world don't know it's happening, and I don't know how to highlight it without scaring the bejesus out of people.
There's another one. There's I mean, whether it was Tom, I mean, there's this post here, like, I mean, whether it's from, it says, like, the fable of Christ and his 12 apostles is a parody of the sun and the 12 signs of the zodiac, copied from the ancient religions of the Eastern world. Everything told of Christ has reference to the sun. His reported resurrection is at the sunrise, and that on the first day of the week, that is, on the day anciently dedicated to the sun, and from thence called Sunday.
Yes. Well, do you know what? What was I going to say about that? Have you ever seen the movie The Esoteric Agenda?
No.
Okay, well, put that in your pipe. You'll definitely go and watch that. There's also a film called Kymatica. And that quote that you've just quoted from Thomas Paine is basically the whole explanation in the movie.
Yeah. Of
that whole the sun rising, the astrological charts, and all the rest of it. It's very, very.
I know there was the zeitgeist. Zeitgeist also showed you the similarities of all the other previous religions and how it shows
the same people who made Zeitgeist made Kaimātaka. It's just Zeitgeist.
Okay, yeah.
Zeitgeist is Kaimātaka too.
Okay.
And I've had him on my show and all the rest of it. Sorry, guys. Yes.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. I'm going to hit bed.
We're good to go on that one. I'm going to say it's 5 o'clock now, so I'm going to hit the bed as well, mate.
Yeah. So you have a good afternoon. Lovely to meet you, Alfred. Lovely to talk to you again, John. You take care, guys. Andrew, love you as always.
God bless. Take care, Sean. God bless. Is there anything you want to finish off with, John, before I end it?
Mohi on Monday at 6 o'clock again.
6 o'clock Monday. Yeah,
6 o'clock. We can put that up now. And the first, I'm putting that guy I said, what's his name, up to give a presentation for 30 minutes at the beginning before we start our hui. So he give an outline of business and all the rest of it. He's very good. I spent a lot of time on the phone with him and critiqued him to make sure he might change sides and come on our side as representing us and not where he's going at the moment. But that's up to him to decide. But he's, even after him watching the video and seeing what I'm doing, he still wants to come on and have a say. That's good. That's healthy.
All right.
Now that I've just fixed the agenda for today and posted today on the record the video that we just did on the minutes, that this is just another hui as well. Not the ones of yours. This is the British ones and Ireland one for their one.
Yeah. Well, this is a shorter one as well, so it should be all right. But I won't put this out until Wednesday night, because obviously Wednesday night this will go out. My Wednesday night 9. Your 6 o'clock Thursday, 6 p.m. Thursday. This will go out.
How come a long time to wait?
Not 6 p.m. Thursday, aren't I? Because obviously this is Sean's live. This is radio, isn't it? So this is a pre-record. This is a pre-record. If I put it out beforehand, I'm destroying his radio show. So I just recorded it. Normally, if it was going out live, I could have just put it out live with it. But obviously, his radio show is not going out until till tomorrow night. Till tonight at 9 o'clock. So Thursday morning 8 o'clock your time. Right. So this video will go out Thursday morning 8 o'clock.
Okay, next week.
No, tomorrow. No, it was.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, it'll go out tomorrow. Your tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. My 11 o'clock at night. Sean's 9 o'clock in Ireland. Yep.
It's good. I was fearing that it's going to be a long time before it goes up. 8 a.m. in the morning. What
time is it where you are now?
Right?
What time is it where you are now? 2 o'clock, yeah?
2 o'clock.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I can put it online and watch it when I get down to Rangihuna, down East Coast where I'm going.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, safe journey. And I'll see you then. Take care. See you, Alfred. Bye-bye now.
Have a good sleep.
I will. I'm gonna hit the bed now. Bye now.